She had one of those faces that television in the 1980s simply could not get enough of. Warm, luminous, and genuinely compelling on screen, Jennifer Runyon seemed poised for the kind of career that her early momentum absolutely promised. And then, quietly and without the dramatic exit that Hollywood usually demands, she disappeared. The truth about what happened to her is a story that is equal parts heartbreaking, surprising, and ultimately, deeply human. Jennifer Runyon was born on April 9, 1960, in Chicago, Illinois. She arrived in Hollywood carrying the kind of natural presence that acting coaches spend years trying to manufacture in other people. Her early career moved quickly. She appeared in Up the Academy, had a memorable role in the hit comedy Ghostbusters in 1984 alongside Bill Murray, and became a familiar face on Charles in Charge, where she played the warm and likable Gwendolyn Pierce for multiple seasons. She was working consistently, building momentum, and by every reasonable measure heading somewhere significant. But the industry had other ideas. The transition out of the 1980s was unkind to many actresses of Jennifer's particular type, wholesome, natural, and genuinely warm at a moment when Hollywood's tastes were shifting sharply toward something harder and more cynical. The roles became less frequent. The momentum that had felt so promising began to slow in ways that were difficult to ignore and even more difficult to reverse. Then came the personal losses that reshaped everything. Jennifer Runyon married composer Dragomir Mihajlovic and stepped back from Hollywood to build a family and a quieter life. But that quieter life carried its own profound weight. She faced serious health challenges that she has spoken about with remarkable candor, navigating physical struggles that would have been overwhelming under any circumstances but felt particularly isolating given how completely she had stepped away from the support structures of the industry she once called home. The loss that affected her most deeply and publicly was the death of her father, a grief she has described as the kind that fundamentally reorganizes a person from the inside out. Combined with the health challenges and the long distance she had placed between herself and her former career, Jennifer found herself navigating a period of her life that bore almost no resemblance to the bright trajectory those early Hollywood years had seemed to promise. What is perhaps most striking about Jennifer Runyon's story is not the tragedy itself but the grace with which she has carried it. She has spoken about her faith as the sustaining force through her darkest periods. She has maintained a warmth and a genuine openness in the rare interviews she has given that feels entirely consistent with every role she ever played. She never became the household name her early career suggested she might. But the woman she became in the absence of that fame, resilient, honest, and quietly unbroken, is in many ways far more compelling than any role Hollywood ever offered her. Some careers end with a final curtain. Jennifer Runyon simply found a different stage entirely.